At the Sanders home, just a few minutes down the road from here, there is a small study, a computer room really, with lots of books on the wall. There are some pictures on the wall, a couple of works of art. I think there's a small bust of President Kennedy. And on one bookshelf there is a hand-painted sign, wood sign, in the shape of a street sign. And on that sign are the words, "Life is good. Life is good." We are gathered here this day to remember a man who didn't just have a good life. He didn't just have a great life. Harold Barefoot Sanders had an extraordinary life. Judge Sanders, as has been said so many times in so many places, was a larger-than-life figure, and yet also a truly generous and humble person. He was known far and wide, loved deeply by many in the legal and political community, but he was known best by his family and his friends, and managed throughout to do what is quite difficult for those in public life, to always keep a personal life in addition and in the midst of what was a very public existence too. Barefoot's life begins as a small boy in what was then a pretty small Dallas, Texas, and took him to a life of public service that would lead to the highest and most hallowed halls of government in Washington, and then back home again. Barefoot was unique. He had a life that spanned so many different areas of interest. How many people do you know in your life who not only served as a senior federal judge near the end of their life, but was also crowned the Freckle King of the State Fair at the beginning of their life? Do you know anyone else who advised presidents on crucial civil rights legislation, but also as a boy researched how to get chickens to lay more eggs? He actually did that, and he learned how to do it. You turn the light on at a specific time, and you turn the music on at a certain time. We were blessed and honored to have Barefoot and Jan as members here at North Haven Church. They were quite regular in worship always, and to us they will always be Jan and Barefoot. I reminded the family this week that I first met Barefoot in the mid-90s, about a decade before I came here. I was at Highland Park United Methodist as an associate. We were hosting a group of Russians from Saratov, Russia, and we were taking them all over Dallas. We were taking them to, yes, our church, but also to see the government and different branches of government, and we took them to see real cows over in Fort Worth. No cows here, of course. These folks had never been to Dallas before, none of them. A couple of them were relatively minor dignitaries. Most of them turned out were just the folks who could afford to come. Well, one of our lay folks from Highland Park arranged for us to go see Judge Sanders. Let me tell you, I was terrified and horrified. I didn't know Judge Sanders, but I certainly knew of him. And all I could think is that one of these Russians was going to ask some stupid question or do something to have the marshals throw us out. I mean, one of them had already asked me if he could rent a car and drive to Galveston. They weren't real keen on distances. So we weren't off to a great start. We arrived at Judge Sanders' chambers, though, and he spent what seemed like the entire afternoon with us. He shook everybody's hand. He showed them the incredible framed pictures that so many of you have seen on his walls that are of presidents and historical documents about our nation's life. And then he did what only Barefoot could do. He talked about the government because he had lived the government. He talked about the executive branch and the legislative branch and the federal bench. I think he would have literally spent the whole afternoon with us if we'd let him. And what that taught me more than anything else, and what I came to learn about Judge Sanders once I had come here to North Haven, was that he had a remarkable ability to be present with whomever he was with. If he was with you, he was present with you. Whether it was the most powerful person in government, a person on the street, a person here at North Haven, a clerk in the court, a member of his own family. If he was with you, he was present with you. He connected with people. He loved to be around people, and he loved life. And so it is a good and right thing that so many people involved in different parts of Judge Sanders' life will be a part of this worship service today as we celebrate his life and legacy. His beautiful grandchildren have all stood before you just a moment ago and read the 23rd Psalm in solidarity. And Liza's marvelous solo reminds us of his 50-some law clerks, many of whom are here with their spouses today. Judge Barbara Lynn will come in just a moment to speak on behalf of the federal judiciary. Larry Temple will represent Barefoot's time throughout his life and during his executive branch time. His daughter Martha will come and offer the tender remembrances of Barefoot the father. And between each of these speakers, we invite you to sing the chorus that is printed here in your worship guide. It is a chorus that reminds us simply and powerfully of what Barefoot stood for. And after all these speakers have finished, I will finish with a few final remarks of my own. Let us sing this chorus together.